Picture this. East Rutherford, extra time. The tension is incredibly thick, and Argentina is down to just 10 men on the pitch. Then, exactly 39 seconds into the second half of extra time, Ferran Torres finds the back of the net. And just like that, Spain are your World Cup champions. But, to truly appreciate this absolute masterpiece of a run, we really need to look past the confetti. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how La Roja pulled off what is undoubtedly one of the most masterful tournament victories in modern football history.
To really wrap our heads around the mystery behind this ultimate victory, we just need to focus on one defining number from Spain's entire tournament. Just one. That is the total number of goals Spain conceded across their entire World Cup run. I mean, let that sink in for a second. In the entire history of the World Cup, no champion has ever won the tournament while letting in just a single goal. It's a completely astonishing feat of defensive organization. So how exactly did they do it?
Okay, let's dive into this, because this wasn't just some lucky month of football where everything happened to go right. This victory fits perfectly into Spain's modern historical context. It's really the crowning achievement of a squad that has relentlessly fought its way back to the absolute pinnacle of the sport.
Looking at the broader picture of their dominance, it's been 16 years since Andres Iniesta famously broke Dutch hearts in Johannesburg to secure their very first star back in 2010. And now they've done it again. But remember, they didn't just win this 2026 World Cup out of nowhere. This came right on the heels of their 2024 European Championship. This generation has achieved back-to-back major honors, proudly adding a second star to the Spanish shirt, and that's something the nation has literally never done before in this exact sequence.
Now, what's really fascinating about this run is how it completely flips the script on what we normally expect from Spanish football. Historically, everyone associates Spain with their famous possession game, right? That endless, beautiful passing that just wears opponents out. But this time around, they didn't just win by holding onto the ball. They built an impenetrable, absolute masterclass of a defense. They just completely suffocated the opposition.
And we have to acknowledge that this was not an easy path to the trophy. Spain had to methodically eliminate 4 top 10 global sides in succession. It was a gauntlet. They swept past Austria, then they ended Cristiano Ronaldo's tournament by completely shutting down Portugal. After surviving a really tight battle with Belgium, they entirely neutralized France, which paved the way for that dramatic, nail-biting extra-time victory over Argentina.
Keep in mind, too, this required surviving the grueling, expanded 8-game format. Across all those incredibly high-stakes matches, their only slight stumble, if you can even call it that, was a scoreless draw against Group H's incredible Cinderella side, Cape Verde. Otherwise, they absolutely dominated their group, taking down Uruguay and Saudi Arabia without even breaking a sweat. It was an exercise in pure, unadulterated control.
The sheer magnitude of this defensive dominance really cannot be overstated. As commentators noted during the run, Spain shut down a French attack that had looked utterly unstoppable. They successfully suffocated world-class lethal attacks game after game. Out of the entire field of elite talent they faced, only Belgium managed to slip a single goal past them back in the quarterfinal. Conceding just once in an 8-game tournament? That is nothing short of legendary.
So, who's the architect behind this unbeatable wall? That would be manager Luis de la Fuente. Now, holding the title of the oldest manager to ever win a World Cup, his efficiency is just ruthless. 14 wins, 1 draw, and 0 losses in his last 15 competitive matches. Guys, that's a staggering 93% win rate. Under his tactical guidance, La Roja became, practically unbeatable.
But, beyond the tactics and the clean sheets, we absolutely have to shift our focus to the fascinating generational storyline that defined that tense final match against Argentina, because what we saw happen on the pitch in New Jersey was a literal passing of the torch. The contrast here is just incredible. On one hand, you have Lamine Yamal, who was just 3 years old when Spain won their first World Cup back in 2010. Now, at 19, he's the undisputed engine of this team, completing a 2-tournament sweep of the Euros and the World Cup before he's even left his teens. And contrast that with the legendary Lionel Messi. Likely playing in his final World Cup, Messi actually bowed out against this Spanish defense with 0 shots on target in the final. That final wasn't just a triumph for Spain, it was the abrupt end of Argentina's broken dream. See, Argentina came into this tournament chasing a historic 4-peat of major international tournaments, trying to add to their Copa America wins in 21 and 24 alongside their 2022 World Cup. But in the 90th minute plus stoppage time, Enzo Fernandez received a red card. That one moment completely unraveled their dream, leaving them incredibly vulnerable to Torres' extra-time strike. With their second star now securely on their shirt, the footballing world, of course, never stops turning. Looking ahead to 2030, Spain is already preparing to conquer an even more monumental milestone at the very next tournament.
The stakes for 2030 are just massive. Spain will be attempting to win back-to-back World Cups. To put that into perspective, no country has achieved this since Brazil did it way back in 1958 and 1962. With a teenage core led by Yamal and an undefeated manager, they certainly have the foundation for it. However, they've absolutely got to avoid the curse of their 2014 campaign, where they entered as defending champions and shockingly crashed out in the group stage. As we all know, nothing in football is ever guaranteed.
Which brings us to a really fascinating final thought. Looking at this historic, record-breaking defensive run, I've got to ask you, are we witnessing the foundation of a brand new Spanish footballing dynasty that's going to rule the next decade? Or was this tournament just a fleeting moment of absolute perfection that we were lucky enough to watch live? It's a great debate. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you in the next one.